us for another episode of the Go Sokal Podcast. Today we are joined with my friend Kendra, who is our email marketing manager. So Kendra, do you want to maybe tell us, everybody, what you do, how long you've been at Sokal?
I have been with Sokal now for about 5 years, a little over 5 years. And I started as an account coordinator, and I have been in the email marketing role now for about a year. So it's been quite a journey, seen a lot of things, and loved watching the company grow.
So when you mention email marketing, I know myself personally, I get emails all the time in my email from different, stores I've shopped at, ads that I've signed up for, So when you say email marketing, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, it is exactly that. It is targeting a consumer like yourself based off of your shopping trends or activity on the internet. So that is what we work with to find you as a consumer to message you with these ads.
Awesome. So a couple of questions about that. So when you talk about finding these consumers and targeting them, how do we go about targeting those consumers? Like, where do those names come from? How do you get that information?
Our information that we use to target consumers comes from triggered data from opted-in customers, basically from across the board, from where they're shopping, what websites they're visiting. That's how we get this information. They're not purchase lists from some random source. These are verified opted-in people that we know for sure are looking to make a move, looking to make a purchase and act soon. So they're pretty far, most likely, down the funnel.
So as you said, the data, people want this information. And so that's something that I think a lot of people get confused with email marketing. Is that, they think this isn't legitimate, this isn't the real deal. So the sources where we get this information from is a legitimate email marketing program.
Yes, it is. And the proof is in the pudding, because otherwise we wouldn't have such great results with it if people were not looking to do something with this information that they're receiving.
So I know myself personally, I'm probably just like everybody else. I get bombarded with emails all the time from clothing companies. I'm planning a wedding, so I get all of that kind of information in my email, my inbox. So you mentioned that these are still effective for our clients. So why are they still so effective? I guess is what I'm getting at. Because I know a lot of times, I just delete these e-blasts that I see in my email.
Yeah, so the thing is, what makes the email effective from what we see on our end is a couple of different factors. We have to basically speak to the people that we're reaching out to. We have to make sure that they are interested before they even open the email to know that this is something they want, or we need to do something to engage them. So it really starts with the subject and preview line in an email, and from there, once we get them to even open it, we've almost got them at that point. So from the subject line, we get them to open it, we get the call to action. They see that they can take a next step from here to further their investigating into what this is all about. And so once that happens and we get them on the websites, we've already jumped through a lot of the obstacles. And so at that point, it's like, they're interested. Whether they make a move right then and there, that's a possibility. But, at least now you've almost acquired this prospect, and now you can work it, in-house. But on our end, we've done our job by getting that person to you, and then you can take it from there and make a sale.
You talked a little bit about, the subject line and the preview line. So what makes a good subject and preview line?
Well, a couple of factors make a good subject and preview line. The main thing is to not make it spammy, not make it loud and obnoxious. In some cases those things might work, but for the most part, asking questions, making a person inquire and being like, what's this about? Like, why are they talking to me? Using the person's first name, using any other kind of personalizations that can really speak directly to a person, to make them think, oh, wow, they're talking to me. This is not some large bunch, email. And so that will make it show up in someone's inbox versus their spam or their promotionals folder. Those are the goals to really, making sure your subject and preview line are good. That's your end game, is to make sure you're in the main inbox and that you are speaking to someone directly and not coming at them with a sales pitch almost sometimes. And sometimes that is what you want, but we've seen better success without that.
So once you hook somebody and they open that email, what's the next thing that somebody should have in an e-blast?
Definitely want to have a main focal point, which we call like the hero image, which has got your best offer that you can have, or whatever it is that message you're trying to drive home for that targeted group of people that you've reached out to, something that you know that they are going to want to see, because that is typically the most clicked area of an email. It's the top section. So make it good, make it count, and have a call to action button of some sort, and a really popular one is, the reveal the deal, so that people have to actually travel to the website to see what it is that they can get, and it really keeps that interest going. So that's what I would say is a really important one. And then from there, listing out your deals that you're offering is really common, and but also not giving up too much information up front to make the people have to look a little bit harder to get more information. Just, keep that interest going.
Once we get, an e-blast sent out, people are starting to click on it, how do we track how many people, got the email, how many people, the click-through rates, how do we track all that?
Okay, so we have pretty detailed reporting that covers things like how many people opened it, how many people didn't open it, how many people clicked what part of the email, what browser they opened it on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it can get really detailed, and so all that can help you tweak your messaging and improve it the next time if you want to revisit some things moving forward, because you do want to hit the same people a couple times to really drive the message home. Just hitting them one time is really not enough. You're not going to see a lot of results that way. So you want to hit them 2 to 3 times with some similar messaging so that they can really let it sink in and build that trust with that customer.
What are some of the best email campaigns that you've seen?
Some of the best, I'd say, were the ones that didn't give up too much. A lot of people responded well to the reveal the deal or click this to see more kind of a thing, like that mysterious element that makes people want to engage a little bit more. And that's how you know people are really interested, because they really want to know more about what you're offering, and you're not giving it all up at front. So that is probably one of the better performing email campaigns that I've seen. So overall, I would say the campaigns that are really successful are the ones that leave people wanting a little bit more information, wanting to, really dive in and take the next step into their potential purchase. So I think those are the best ones so far.
So let's talk a little bit about the reporting, because you mentioned about, there's all this information, all this data that the dealers or the clients can see. So what is a good, everybody talks about, click-through rates, open rates, and a lot of times people sometimes get these mixed up and, aren't real clear on what these terms are. So let's talk a little bit about what's a click-through rate? What is it, and what would be considered a good one?
Okay, so click-through rates, open rates. Let's start with open rates.
Okay.
Because obviously opening has to happen first.
For sure.
So with an open rate, a good open rate, or at least what we are averaging around here, is a little over 18%. Now, industry standard, if you were to get on Google and try to find what it is, it's going to vary based off of who's trying to sell you an email product.
For sure.
And so for us, we don't use any enhancements in our emails, so we don't try to layer in something additional to kind of bump those rates up. It's just pure email open rate. What you see is what you get. It's not some questionable source of somebody clicked something on some site somewhere and it's somehow added to your open rates. So that's one thing. So we're sitting at about 18%. And there's emails that have open rates of upwards of 22%. So they're pretty good. Now, with the open rate out of the way, you've gotten the people into the email. The click-through rates, they tend to drop down because obviously not everybody's opening. So based off of what we see on average, it's around a little over 2%. And again, it can be higher than that, it can be lower than that, but it just depends on what the messaging is and how well the campaign was thoroughly planned out.
So, Kendra, when people see, an 18% open rate or a 2% click-through rate, they might not think, that's so good. When in reality, that really is good. But what else should people look for when they get these reports and they see these numbers? Like, what's another good way to measure the success of their campaign?
Well, I would definitely say the best thing is to do a matchback.
Okay, so what exactly is a matchback? I hear that term used around.
So the matchback is basically just that. It's matching back the people who actually purchased a vehicle to the people who received the campaign. So what we do is we'll take the sales report for a time frame of 30 to 45 days from the day that the campaign deployed, and then we'll match that back, and then we'll compare the numbers and see who received this campaign, who bought a car, or signed up for whatever, who was a lead. We can match anything. So what we've seen is amazing, really, results when you think about how many cars are sold off of just one campaign. Like, we've had upwards of 60 vehicles that can match back to one email campaign. That's a lot of vehicles in 1 month.
Oh, yeah, for
so
sure.
That's where the proof is in the pudding, really.
So in order to do a matchback, how do you get the information to be able to compare it to the email list? Do you get that out of the CRM? How do you go about doing that?
Yes. So the information comes from the sold records that are in the client's CRM, and we pull that information, and then we'll run a quick Excel formula and do a VLOOKUP, and then it produces the matches, and that's how we know exactly who's what. So, people do have the option to suppress the data that's in their CRM already, so we don't have to worry about emailing the people that could potentially be in their CRM. So that's even more of an exact number based off of who received the campaign. So that's another thing, you can do to really get a really tight homed-in number on how many vehicles were sold.
We've been talking a lot about emails that are going to list customers that have opted in, and so if a dealer wants to send an email just to people in their database, can they do that as well?
Absolutely.
Through our system?
Yes, they can do that through our internal email product. So we have the option of taking a list that came from the client CRM, and the benefit of that is that they don't have to worry about being blacklisted, and because nobody wants that. They want to be able to reach their customers, and we have the option to basically send it from as many emails as we need in a timely fashion, so that they won't be at risk. We'll do it through our system, and they can keep their CRM intact.
Are there times when, obviously there's going to be times when an internal e-blast is probably going to be more effective. So what are some times when that is more effective than using an outside list?
So if you're trying to, let's say, target, do a loyalty campaign, for customers that you already had, people that, who have purchased from you in the past and who you can get back, they're almost not so much sitting easy targets, but you've built that relationship, and that trust. So I would say that working the people that you have closest to you is probably an easier sell than working strangers, so you have the opportunity to capitalize on that.
So let's talk about the investment of an e-blast campaign. Is email marketing relatively inexpensive, or
Yeah, it's actually very cost effective, I think, based off of the return that you get. If you're a dealer and you sell one car and you make a couple $100s off of selling one car, if you're selling 20, 30, 40, 50 cars off of one email campaign that costs you a couple $100s, I think that's definitely all you need to know. Yes, do it a couple times a month if you can, and target a bunch of different people if you can. If it makes sense for your dealership, definitely make the most out of it, because it really can get you a long way.
We've talked a lot about email, internal emails, external emails, and all of this, but are there other ways to use the email products?
Yes, actually. There are a couple different ways that we like to use email in-house here, and that's with pairing it with other products that we have, like digital products, for example, Facebook, or ringless voicemails. We can use the same lists that we've emailed people. We can actually give that over to our digital team, and they can target people on Facebook, so that we're getting that double exposure with the same messaging. So it's really just driving that same message home and keeping our clients top of mind for as long as the campaign is running. And like I said, it's good to keep getting in front of these people, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and really becoming like top of mind when it's your first choice, when you want to go make that move and make that purchase.
You mentioned the Facebook targeting. So is that people that have opened the emails, or is that the entire list?
And that's the beauty of it. We can do any of that. We can target people who've opened. We can target people who haven't opened. We can target people that's clicked it or haven't clicked it. It's really what you want to do. We can, set up custom packages, whatever it is that, that if you want to do both, if you want to send a specific message to people who have opened because you've already gotten their attention, or if you want to do another campaign that's going to target those people who haven't opened, and you're like, well, maybe we didn't get them the first time around. Let's try this approach. Maybe this will speak to them a little bit more, and that can really, have some impact.
So, Kendra, thanks so much for being here with us today. I feel like a lot of people know about email marketing, but probably don't know about it this in depth. And I think that maybe you cleared up a lot of questions, and hopefully people got something out of it. So, and to those that are listening or watching, thanks again for joining us on the Go Sokal podcast today. As always, if you want to find out more information about email marketing, you can visit our website at gosokal.com.